Right then, we are in the last of what's turned into this mini-series of sessions to either help you get started with speed work, or if you've been out for a period of time and want to get back into your speed work, because yeah, I had a long-term injury, SI joint became inflamed, very difficult to rehab back, and you have to be careful with that. So I've been doing lots of work on the indoor bike, but over the last month or so I've been progressing my speed work, and we started off with diagonals on the football pitch. If you haven't watched that video, I'd suggest starting there. Great session on mixed terrain due to the weather and time of year and all that kind of thing, and you can really control it because you're basically parked right next to the football pitch. Then we moved on to some short, sharp hill reps, 30 second, 60 second session, which is great for starting to build up that strength, starting to build up that leg speed, starting to work on the biomechanics of your running again without too much risk of injury, depending on what your injury is. Remember, if you're under kind of guidance from a good running specific physio or sports therapist, depending on what country you're in, stick with that. But this is what I've been doing to get myself back up to speed. Today's session, very simply put, is 1 minute on, 1 minute rolling. So some people might call it floats or recovery, whatever you want, but the idea of this session is for me to run 1 minute at around 10k effort. It's not going to be my 10k pace or my PB pace. It's going to be me imagining if I was in the middle of a 10k right now, what would it want to feel like? So that's for 1 minute. And then the idea of the 1 minute recovery isn't just to switch off completely or to walk or to do an easy jog. It's to keep it with some effort and as close as you can to that first effort while recovering. So yeah, for different people that will mean different things, and for depending on how long you've been out and depending on your running history and all that kind of stuff. But as long as you remember that it's 1 minute at 10k effort, 1 minute recovery, but with still some effort, that's where you want to be at. I've programmed in 15, I'm on pause at the moment while I speak to you lot, but I'm doing 15 minutes, 1 minute on, 1 minute off, so that's 30 minutes in total. I've warmed up, I'm ready to go. I'll speak to you in between it if I can. Yeah, things to think about before you start this is I'm not going to be working to heart rate at all, because by the time the lag catches up and stuff like that, it's not going to be too relevant, and I'm just going to be running hard for a minute so we can do that. We know what that feels like. Anyone knows what that feels like. I've got not much pain at all. I've got some discomfort after running and stuff like that, but I'm doing longer rides, I'm doing harder rides, all on the watt bike, granted. But yeah, that means I've been twisting and turning and putting some force through my SI joint, and it's holding up okay. But again, to really hammer home the point, I'm doing 1 minute intervals now, and it's taken me, this is my 4th week of coming back to running. So it's been a long process of getting up to this point, and then I still wouldn't see myself as ready to do full-on speed sessions, but each one I've ticked off, the diagonals, the hill strength workout, this workout is another tick in the box to say, okay, maybe I can start training for my marathon, which is essentially going to be the next target, the next goal. So if this goes well, I'll sign up for my marathon, which will be next April, I think, probably. And again, I originally had a place in Malaga Marathon, which is December, so you can see how long it's been put back. I'm just trying to be sensible with everything. February will be too early now, things like Seville and stuff, which would be perfect. That's too early. April is going to be the time, and then that still gives me enough scope to get back in the mountains in time for my plans next year. So I'm coming up to 15 minutes, and I'm going to start the clock for the first one now. Again, I've changed from podcast to bangers. Ready to go. So I've done 2 sets. Well, this is my recovery for the second, and feel good doing it. It's almost like my legs have forgotten how to run a bit faster though, so at the moment I'm just focusing on technique. So when I'm running the 10k effort, I'm just thinking about my heel lift, bit of knee lift, arms staying relaxed, staying smooth, but with lots of effort. Then when I recover, I'm not relying on just dropping my cadence. You can see this is my recovery. I should be able to speak to someone, but cadence is still the same. I've just shortened my stride a bit and dropped my heels. Right, 3, 2, 1. So yeah, on the effort, I'm getting a longer stride by simply thinking more heel lift, more knee lift. Okay, I've lost count now, but I think we're halfway through. And yeah, one thing I should have mentioned is I'm not on the flat today. It's kind of rolling hills, nothing serious. If it was on the flat, I'd probably tend to look at the pace a little bit more. On these hills, a little bit less. I still look at the pace and I still compare myself, but I'm using that as fuel at the moment because my 10k effort pace is the same as my marathon PB pace at the moment, but I see that as lots of progress to be made. Okay, next effort, next 10k effort now. As you can see, my breathing rate goes up. No idea on heart rate and stuff like that, but I'm staying in control. I can just talk to you lot a little bit less. Okay, I've got 3 left in total. That one was hard because won't look like it, but it's a bit of a gradient uphill on my effort. So again, just trying to keep it controlled, but you can see by my recovery now, I've had to slow down quite a bit to recover, which is all right. That's the nature of the terrain. Maybe I pushed a little bit hard up the hill, but 3 left, and I reckon I can get these done quite comfortably. And that's it, we're done, just like that. Apologies if you had any sweat or snot flying around on that, but there's no better way of explaining a session in my experience than just going out there and doing it myself. So I'm just on the cool down now. 15 minutes on, 15 minutes off. Like I touched on, it was rolling. I had one of them that was particularly uphill, and the recovery was as well, so I had to really dial that back in on the recovery. So there wasn't much leg turnover then, but overall really positive for myself. So hopefully if you try that session, it will be positive for you too. You don't have to go and do 15 minutes on and 15 minutes off, totaling 30 minutes. I should have pointed that out at the start, but you can absolutely start with 5 times a minute on and off if you're more of a beginner, or if you're just like even earlier on your comeback trail to me. I wouldn't try them unless you're confident that your injury has cleared, especially if it's lower leg, or like me in my back. Outside of that, go and give it a crack and add those minute reps into your schedule early doors. We are coming towards the end of autumn, end of November, well, mid-November, sorry. So for me, perfect. Lots of my runners at the moment have been throwing these efforts in, 1 minute in, 1 minute uphills, the diagonals, a real mix. And they seem to be enjoying the different challenge. Primarily, I'm usually coaching trail and mountain runners, so this is alien to a lot of people. Right then, I've got 10-minute easy run back to the house. I will now I'll give it 24 hours to see if anything flares up, and if nothing flares up I will enter my marathon and hopefully progress from there. I'll keep sharing some sessions, and I will be back in the hills hopefully a little bit too, because although I'm not training for a mountain specific race at the moment, I just love being back in the hills, so at least 1 or 2 sessions will be there, easy running, so I can share with you some scenery again. Okay, as always, any questions, stick them in the comments or speak to me on social media. I'll get back to you when I can.